Hi, I'm Bukeka. I'm the B.
And I'm Enolia, and I'm the E.
Together, we are Be Empowered.
The universe is calling, calling, calling. The universe is calling me to be. It's calling me to listen more, talk less, and hold the light. The universe is calling me to be.
We believe that deep in our souls, we hold conversations, but for whatever reasons, we do not always take the opportunity to speak from our hearts.
We want you to imagine that you're sitting right here with us now, sipping a cup of tea or coffee at our dining room table, and we're having that conversation. You know, the one that encourages, inspires, and motivates you to the infinite possibilities that your life has to offer.
Let us help you to expand your imagination, to create your beautiful dream into reality. It starts right here and right now, because the universe is calling you to be.
The universe is calling me to be. The universe is calling, calling. The universe is calling me to be. It's calling me.
Well, hello, everyone. It is Be Empowered with Bukeka and Enolia. Hopefully, everyone is having a wonderful day today. And my name is Bukeka, and I have my dear friend here, Enolia. Enolia, how are you today?
I'm doing so well and excited to be here with everyone, ready to share and ready to have that conversation.
Station. And today is in particularly one of great excitement for me because it is called Be Careful What You Wish For. So, what does that mean for you, Enolia?
Well, it means that when I think of what I want, that I need to be prepared that when I get it, I'm ready for it. And so I'll say it like this, lots of times we'll be like, oh, I wish I had that fame, or oh, I wish I had that fortune, oh, I wish I had that success. And then it comes and then it's like, oh no, I'm not ready. Oh no, what did I do? This is too much. This is overwhelming. How do I deal with this? What can I do? So do we think about what we want to manifest? And are we prepared to respond and step up to the plate once it comes to fruition? This is important. And a lot of times we're not. We'll pray for it and we're not ready. What do you think?
Absolutely. We pray for it and we're not ready because really we don't believe that we can have it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we really believed that we could have what we wished for, then we would adjust accordingly. You know what I mean? So we'll say things. Oh, I wish I had this amazing career. I wish I had this much money. I wish I had this, that, and the other. Okay. And it's that moment that if we really believe it, if we really want it, and we get it, that's when we can actually enjoy it. But when we don't believe it, we wish for it and we get it, but we're not prepared for it, it can take us further back than where we were when we started.
You are so absolutely right. And this is potent. And I really want our listeners to understand this. So I'll give a personal example of this. It was within my prayer because I'm an entrepreneur. And I have a lot of different revenue streams, and I have a lot of different parts of my work that I enjoy doing, some not so much. But one of the things that I really, really, really asked the Creator to give me was that those people who are not serving for my highest and greatest good to fall away. I wanted people who weren't serving the purpose to not be in my life. So then that way I know that I'm around like-minded people who want to see my success, who in turn, I want to be successful so that I can reach my vision or reach my goal with whatever particular vision I'm holding for that particular venue of entrepreneurship and be successful. My definition of success. But when it started happening, it was a whole nother story. And I'm going, well, why is there drama around a particular person with whom I've trusted for so long? And I thought was, okay. It wasn't like a deep trust, like, oh my God, I'm devastated. But you meet someone, you're cordial, you get acquainted, you think they're a decent business person, and you're happy with what's going on. And then all of a sudden, the circumstance just uproots and you find that they're gone, and you're like, what just happened there? And I had to step back, and it took me 2 to 3 days before I remembered my prayer that basically said, okay, Creator, if they're not bringing my highest and greatest good, I want them out of my lives. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's what just happened. Thank goodness I was able to stay calm throughout the whole piece. Calm meaning that a lot of times when things happen, the first thing we want to do is do something. What can I do? How can I fix it? How can I, let me pull the person back. Oh, let me remedy the problem. Oh, let me fix it, so that they can stay. But the whole point is, it was done for my highest and greatest good. I had asked for it. I had to recognize that this was something that I asked for. And wow, I had to recognize that the practices that the particular person may have brought or did weren't for my best interest.
Right.
That is powerful.
Yeah. In all transparency, I've been through this exact situation recently, with a major endeavor. And here's what I noticed about my response or interaction or how this took place. I stepped into my power. I wasn't necessarily pleased with how it was done. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I stepped into my power and I said some things that really needed to be said. But it was also that realization of the same thing. You don't want people in your atmosphere that are going to take you in a direction or allow them to take you in a direction that you don't want to go. So in that whole exchange of conversation, I had to step into my power and say what needs to be said, but I also had to be grateful that it was happening because I knew it was going to take me in a better direction. I think when we're in those situations, Enolia, where things are changing right before our eyes, we've wished for something, we're getting it, but we're in the midst of it, so we don't really know. Just like you were saying, like, oh my gosh, I realized I asked for this. Okay, so in the midst of all of that unfolding, it's a great opportunity to observe, to be a self-observer as to how you're going through that process. But it is also that opportunity to say, this is great. This is more than what I wanted. Now I have the space to create whatever it is that I want to create, because I don't have this other person blocking me or keeping me from my good, because I've let it go and I've asked Spirit, universe, to eliminate anything that is no longer serving me. And then when it happens, we get it.
That's right. And I want to emphasize what we both said, because this is where people derail. We both said that we watched ourselves go through the iterations without reaction of emotion. And I'm going to tell you, audience, that if you cannot hold your emotion and be in observance, you will derail yourself.
Yes.
You will derail yourself. You just said it, Bukeka, when you talked about you watched the conversation unveil and you watched how the circumstance changed without reacting. And in my case, I watched the circumstance unravel. And I was like, should I react to this? No, because your first reaction would be like, you want to pacify someone. Oh, I'm so sorry this happened. Oh, let me stroke your head and let me help you get through this process. I'm sorry it happened. But instead of doing that, I just sat back and said, okay, I put my trust in myself and my decision, and I put my trust in God. And sometimes silence and just watching is the best thing instead of reacting. And that's what I did. And then I was able to say, after all of it had unraveled, oh, okay. Now, is it appropriate for me to pacify the person? No, it's not. It's not appropriate. Are the circumstances better? Yes, they are. It had to unravel, and it was kind of unnerving watching it unravel. But because I just stepped back and watched it, instead of reacting through the process, I was able to step back, take that 40,000 foot look and view of the complete circumstance, and then look, scrutinizing a little bit closer to it and realizing I'm good. I don't need to react to anything. And this is key. This is key. And I'm saying this to the audience. You don't necessarily have to react, align yourself with somebody else, or whatever the things that we normally do. All you have to do is hold your emotion and watch it unravel and unveil. And when it's done, work and do what you have to do. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I have this saying, and I've talked about it recently on some social media stuff, about imagine the most favorable outcome.
Yes.
Imagine the most favorable outcome. And when I do that, what's generally happening is I've got some kind of twisted imagination going on, right? But when I turn it around, imagine the most favorable outcome, I'm in a place of peace. I'm not worried about what other people are experiencing in that moment. All I'm doing is going, what is the most favorable outcome that can happen? What is the win-win that can happen? And sometimes that win-win is someone will need to step away. Sometimes that win-win is there's another person coming in that is a more favorable partner than the other person, right? So when we imagine the most favorable outcome, which is what is the win-win, what is the overall, as you were saying, from that 40,000 foot perspective, how can I imagine the most favorable outcome from, or how can I not actually imagine the most favorable outcome when I am looking at it from the full perspective of how everyone can be at peace with it?
Not only that, Bukeka,
yeah,
but I would add one word to that: recognize it.
Yes.
Imagine it, and then when it comes to fruition, recognize that you got the most favorable outcome.
Can I clap?
Yes, please do.
Yes.
Because that's it. We
That's
don't
it.
recognize it.
Yeah.
So many times things happen, we don't recognize that we weren't supposed to be in that job, and we kept holding on to it, and that's why we got fired. Recognize that we were being tested to see if we would stand in our truth, and that there is a bigger, better, beautiful life waiting for you beyond what you've been existing in.
Yes.
And the universe has pushed you out because you won't recognize it for yourself.
Yeah.
Recognition of the fact that we can manifest what we want. So many people are in this power of manifestation. I'm going to create what I need. And they don't recognize the steps that it takes towards that vision, because when you hold a vision, there are parts that come to fruition that lean towards that vision. The vision isn't always a straight line. That sometimes you got to go right, you got to go left, you got to go right, you got to go left, you got to go up, you got to go down. And then you finally arrive at that vision. But we go right and we go, everything's wrong. No, 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 because it's not straight line to it. And we don't recognize that we sabotage ourselves, because sometimes you got to step, 3 steps backwards to go 5 steps forward, or you go to the right, you go up and you go down, then to the left, and then you finally arrive. And we don't want to recognize that the path is not straight.
Yeah.
And that it takes time. I want to talk about this. We are in this world of instant gratification.
Right.
And what's this all about? We no longer have the patience to understand that things need to align in order to execute and get to the vision that we are asking for, but that we want it yesterday and it's not working. Oh, everything sucks and I'm not able to do this and I can't do that. And I'm not a manifester. I never manifested anything. Oh, woe is me. And we go into that victim mode. But that the universe is aligning every day of our lives. And it might take a week, months, a year, years, if you're asking something huge. And that you have to be patient and recognize that your life is a walk to that outcome.
Yeah.
And it's a journey. And that things will not happen through instant gratification. Even the phone calls. We're like, why isn't that person present right at this moment I call? Why didn't you answer your phone? Why didn't you text me back? I listen to conversations sometimes and it amazes me that people are like, I didn't get an instant message back, so they're ignoring me. And they make the story up, a complete story around the person because they didn't get an instant response. What have we come to? I don't know.
You know, I saw this presentation about 10 years ago, and it has stuck with me. A gentleman was talking about the fact that at one point he had gone to visit a site in South America. I think it might have been Brazil or something like that. And he had gone back years later only to see that it had been completely grown over with foliage, with vines and things of that nature. But it completely overtook the physical building. But what he was saying is that vegetation, okay, and how it grows seems slow, but when it takes off, it is consuming and magnificent and beautiful. He then talked about how we go into the grocery store and the same vegetation is in the produce aisle. Right? That these things that seem to grow so slowly and takes its time is actually producing and producing something that is nurturing, that feeds us, that gives us oxygen, all of those different things. But when we just kind of take that scenario, that the things that we allow to just let them do their thing, to take their time, to go their course, actually produces something so amazing. And if we apply that to our own selves, just take the time to do the things that lead us to the overall grand picture of things. What I'm saying is that just allow the process to take place, and don't try to make it go faster than what it's supposed to. Allow, let it be, let it grow into what it's divinely meant to be.
Is that another way of saying trust yourself?
I think so.
Yes. To allow us to trust is to have faith in self, to understand that everything that you want, a contribution is being made towards that outcome and that goal. And we, of so little patience and understanding and so full of emotion, don't want to have the patience or the wherewithal to weather what has to take place to get to the outcome. And as we sit back and we learn, one day we will finally understand that there are certain things in our being and in our lives that derail or distract us from getting from what we want. There are certain things in our lives that misdirect us to see and to achieve what we want.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those things is our emotional response. I've realized now that I'm older and wiser, that emotion, when it plays a role in my life, has always distracted me from the truth and from me recognizing that I got exactly what I wanted, but I was so busy being emotional about what it took to get there that I missed the whole point of seeing the goal achieved, from seeing the vision come to fruition. That I was either reacting in the anger because something unraveled, or I was reacting in the surprise because something came in that I wasn't expecting. And I was reacting on whatever it was, I was reacting with whatever emotion I was reacting to. And I was so wrapped up in the reaction of it and the emotion of it that I missed the point of it. Life lesson that I learned, and I share this with the audience: don't let your emotion drive that which you want to move through in life, so that you can see and recognize your outcomes, your own visions, your own goals. Because it's the little things that you achieve that all lead up to the one big thing that you want.
So I have a question for you, Enolia. Being in the world of technology, as you have such a strong foundation in IT, what would you say to our listeners who have grown up in this IT world of information and that's being constantly put before us and asking us to react quickly in a nanosecond? What would you say to our audience to help them understand how to navigate their life in this microwave era, and that allows them to slow down and move towards their dreams in a more efficient way?
You know, that's a really, really interesting question. And I don't know that I have the 100% answer to it, none whatsoever. I can only give you my perspective within my life and my experience, which is that external to me, technology should work fast, quick, fast, and in a hurry. We program those things to do it, to do so. So if I press a button and it's supposed to respond to me in a nanosecond, I want it to respond to me. I've programmed it to do so. Now, that is the same internally, except most of us don't practice. If I sit in my meditation, in my sacred space, and I practice that, so when I ask the creator a question, yes, I want it instantaneous because I've practiced. When I sit in my power, when I sit in my energy, when I sit in those practices that would help me innovate and grow within, because I do trust myself, because I do love myself, because I am a powerful being, and I'm not talking about physical strength, and I am created, connected to the creator, and because I do have the energy or a presence from that practice, such that I know where my limitations are and where they are not. I would expect that to be instantaneous too, because of the practice. But if the practice isn't there, why would I expect to have something instantaneously done within when I don't exercise that quote unquote muscle? So I look at it in terms of the outside world and the inside. And remember that my inside is the foundation of everything that happens external to me. And so I would further answer that question in that if I have nurtured and fed my soilless garden of who I am the way that I should, to strengthen internally that of which I am, then everything that I look to do outside of that falls into alignment. And why should I expect anything less?
Like that.
So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's where I went with it.
It truly does. It truly does. Let me just tell you briefly about a conversation that I had with someone recently. She was telling me that she was very stressed, that she had all these things to do, that she really didn't have the support that she needed, but there's this one thing that she wants to get done, and she wants to see it happen successfully. So my advice to her was, you need to slow down. You need to make sure, I don't care if it's 5 or 10 minutes, that you have a dedicated time or dedicated space to breathe, to drink water, to allow things to flush out of your system physically, mentally, emotionally, in order for these things that you want to come to pass. Otherwise, just doing another task is not going to work. And this idea of, I can never get anything done, if that's what you're speaking to yourself, if that's what your inward conversation is, then adding another thing that you think is going to take you out of this problem that you have, it's going to add to it. So you have to be able to bring it back, slow down, practice. There is nothing instantaneous about practice. Nothing.
You're so right. Oh my God. And you gave her the best advice that she could have ever had, because everything that we need to do is always counterintuitive. We think, oh, if I speed up a little bit faster, I can get more done and I can get it accomplished, and then I'll rest, and then I'll rest, and then I'll rest. And what we don't realize is that more and more just gets added and added and added, and it's never ending and it never stops. And then what happens is that the body gets out of balance and the body breaks down, and then it forces you to stop. And then you go, how did I get here? What did I do? My body is telling me all kinds of things with its unhealthy imbalances and symptoms, and I don't know what to do. But had we just slowed down in the first place, taken some time, nurtured ourselves, taken care of ourselves, take that week, then what happens is that we come back stronger, full-fledged, able, and with more clarity, and can get more done.
Yeah.
Because we're doing it at the best of our ability and not the frailty of who we are.
Yeah.
It just makes more sense. So what has happened, and you mentioned technology, and be careful what you wish for, is technology does all the thinking for us. Technology does all of the moving for us. It does a lot for us. And we are not exercising our brains. We are not exercising the muscles that we have that are imperative for us to exercise. I remember my mom And Dad used to go bowling all the time. And I was like, Mom, they have machines now that can add up the scores for you. And she goes, no, 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 sweetheart. I always add the scores, and I always do the math, because if you don't exercise that muscle, you'll lose it. And it's frightening because you can go to regular stores, pharmacy, grocery, otherwise. How many of these people cannot do the math at the cash registers because they can't do the math in their head?
Mhm.
Because they're not exercising that muscle.
Right. Mhm.
So, there's so many factors. I love technology, but technology is also something that can be our downfall. One of the things that I've always take pride, and this is just a side note, we're kind of digressing here, is that whatever I learned to do that technology can produce for me in a quick way, I always know how to do it.
Exactly.
I always know how to do it by hand. Yes, we can get the most beautiful weavings with weaving machines, but I know how to weave by hand. Yes, we can get the most beautiful yarn by the machines, but I know how to spin by hand. I think it's important to know how to do everything by hand. Yes, we can get food out of the grocery stores, but when we get generations of students and kids who think that food comes from the grocery store and don't realize that you have to plant a seed to grow food, or you have to hunt to catch meat, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it makes so much sense with the topic as far as be careful what you wish for, because we wish for these things, to happen, instantaneously. And when we get it, if it's something that we haven't really put our heart into, or if we don't know how to do it manually, if we haven't integrated into something that's personal for us and we get it, okay, then we can lose it as soon as we get it because we don't know how to maintain it. For example, as a vocalist, I know that you really have to train your vocal cords. You have to do that. So a lot of the singers that are discovered and they have this wonderful voice, and so now they're with the record label and now they're on tour, they end up canceling a good portion of the tour because they're not used to exercising their vocal cords well enough so that they can go from, oh, I was singing at a club maybe once every 6 weeks, to I'm at a stadium every single day. Right?
Yeah.
So now you have to bring in that element of practice, taking care of yourself, knowing what you're capable of doing, making your own schedule, not being defined by this instant star making machine that you wanted, right?
Right.
You really need to be able to own your own truth and be able to relish and bask in what you've wished for and you've received it, instead of having it come so quickly that you don't even know what to do with it once you have it.
Right. You're so right. Wow. The power of our voice. I mean, you couldn't have said it any better. We have to train. We have to train. And, I guess I'm talking to those of you who are parents that have kids. Show them the older ways. They are going to shun it and go, oh, I don't need to know that. But I mean, we need to know both sides of the coin. I guess that's where I stand. You need to know both sides of the coin. Yeah. For everything that you program your computer to do, you should be able to do the math. You should be able to accomplish getting through the labyrinth of whatever it is that you're striving to accomplish manually. That our greatest geniuses were able to do this manually before it was digitized. We don't want to lose painting a picture, drawing a picture. We don't want to lose knowing how to exercise manually as well as using the machines. We don't want to lose what it takes to grow food and planting a seed, as well as getting to the grocery store. I just remember my parents always doing both. So I don't know if you have anything more to add, but I think the point is made.
I think the point is made. I want to do a couple of quick public service announcements.
Okay.
One, I have experience in the financial industry, and this pertains to things going so fast. Young people, if someone says, I've got a check that I'm going to email you, I need for you to print it off and deposit it, and so I can give you some quick cash and I can get some quick cash too, don't do that. That's fraud. That's fake. It is not going to lead you to what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we know this.
Right. Don't do that. You know, whenever you think of, and I am speaking to the younger people right now because they are so inundated with everything so fast, you know, just take some time to speak to your elders, talk to your grandparents, know their names, their history, because they have information that is going to outlast anything that's coming from your computer or from an external download. So those are my two public service announcements to our young people.
I like the way you put that, public service announcement. I would add this to it, and I love what you just said. I love what you said, which is if you don't talk to your elders and you don't learn from them, what you will find is that history will surely repeat itself based on the fact that you don't know. Learn from them, take our experiences and cherish them, and listen to our stories, and don't belittle them or demean them. Hear our experiences and what we went through to glean certain rights and certain outcomes that we have throughout our life. Because if you don't, what happens is that those that would take advantage of the situation, take advantage of the fact that you don't know. They take advantage of your lack of knowledge and your ignorance, just to be straightforward about it. Oh, they don't know how to read a map, so I'll bring them over here. They've never been there before. They don't even know that this is not the right way. Why not?
Why not?
So it's important. Our audience, it's important. And if you're older and that's the case and you don't know, take the time to know. Yeah. Take the time. It's so important.
Folks, thank you so much for listening. Enolia, it's always a pleasure to connect with you and conversate with you, if that's even a word. I think it is, but nonetheless, it is now.
Oh, Bukeka, it's such a pleasure to always hear you, listen to you, that beautiful smile, that beautiful light that you are. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you so much for tuning into BE Empowered, the podcast. My name is Bukeka. I've got my beautiful friend here, Enolia, and
we love you.
Love you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed the show. We look forward to bringing you more shows in the future. To learn more about our co-hosts, check out their websites, www.bukekastyle.com and www.enolia.live. Learn about their masterclasses for conscious transformation, their personal coaching, along with their international retreats and expeditions. Are you an entrepreneur looking for another line of income? Check out www.planetmarketing.com/Enolia and www.planetmarketing.com/bblakemore. We are here to transform your life. Thank you for listening.